change. And if you look back, if you start doing this, if you look back, there's no immediate change. It's difficult, you know, it's not that easy. But if you then look back a year from now, however small the change is, it's a huge reward. Whatever change you've made, you feel happier, the people around you feel happier, it's worthwhile. And as I say, if there's no future life, well, okay, in the end, it doesn't matter. I don't think it's guilt. I don't think it's guilt. I don't think he came back for guilt. No, come on, he's a free spirit. No, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have been. No, but he sincerely felt that love. I thought it was very inspirational. I thought if I have a relationship, I want to be like that. I don't know whether I would be like that, but anyway. Okay. Anyway, so these are, as I said, so the causes for our sufferings come from that misperception of reality. So most effective is to deal with this misperception right away, right? We did a little bit during the meditation, and I want to encourage you, if you can, if you have a little bit of time, to also deal with what is the self, how do I exist. Never allow it to just go away. Just, you know, keep in the back of your mind whenever you have a chance to read about it, when you have a chance to receive a teachings by someone like the Dalai Lama. Nowadays you can just you follow it online if you can't go there. If you can go to Dharamsala best, or to India to receive teachings, or wherever else. Otherwise you can follow it online and pay attention to those instructions or these teachings, in particular with regard to what is the self. Because that is the root. But in the meantime, it is also effective, even though it's just temporary, to work with anger, to work with jealousy, to work with attachment, and try to also apply the antidote. Although they're temporary, still they're able to allow us to weaken those strong afflictions, and in turn help us to help our wisdom to grow more. So although in the long term we need to remove the misperception of reality, but in the meantime to also work on our anger, arrogance, jealousy, etc. And there are so many beautiful, effective methods to do so. One example of working with anger is, for example, to understand dependent arising. Dependence on causes and conditions. If we understand where someone is coming from, what are the causes and conditions for why they act the way they do, it may already reduce a lot of the hatred and the dislike, etc. Okay? Then at the same time understand what we have in common with him or her. They're still like us. They want to be happy, they don't want to suffer, they have feelings like ourselves, they want similar things in life. So what can we do to provide them? Okay? A feeling of closeness. If there were past lives, we had lots of relationships. There's no one who's really a stranger. There's really no one who's a stranger. From a Buddhist point of view, everyone in the past has been very close to us. Buddhists go so far as saying that everyone has been our mother at some point. Bizarre, right? And not just once, many, many, many times. Everyone has been our child. I can say that to the mothers and the fathers here. To those who don't have children, it doesn't have the same effect. We all have mothers, so in that way we say we all, talk about mothers. We all have fathers, so we can talk about everyone has been our father at some time. Everyone has been our child. Everyone has been our best friend. There is no relationship. It doesn't make sense that we haven't had a relationship with someone. We're not always together with the same people. It keeps changing, even in this lifetime. The person who's been our best friend when we were little is no longer our best friend. We make new friends. Strangers become friends. Friends become strangers. People we don't like become friends. People we like become people we don't like. It's a constant change. Our relationships always change. But from a Buddhist point of view, if there were past lives, we've had any type of relationship with anyone. So we feel very, very, again, there's a sense of this is the person I don't like. It's permanently the person I don't like, permanent person. But actually, if we've had our relationships, so it's just a matter of reconnecting with people. This is a little difficult. This takes a while to get used to that kind of idea. But if there is past life, trust me, there's no other way, is there? It makes sense that there's a constant change, right? But even not considering that, considering the fact that, first of all, everyone is the same and wanting to be happy, and think about the fact that everything we have is because of others, right? Is there anything we know to do in this lifetime that is not directly or indirectly connected to others, to the effort of others? The fact we can sit in this room, how many people were responsible for making this room available? How many people were responsible for the clothes we wear? We may have a favorite shirt, a favorite pair of jeans, or, you know, how many people were responsible for making this available? Now you may say, well, they just did it for the money, they didn't want to do it for us to benefit us. But we hold inanimate things very dear. And you know, I hold my iPad very dear. So the iPad has no intention to benefit me, and still I hold it dear. So likewise, other people, they have no intention to benefit us, but they still do. The food they provide us with, the food they give us we get on a daily basis. Yes, we bought it, but who made the money so we could buy it? Right? Who provided the jobs that we have jobs? It's others. We couldn't live without others. I mean, where would we be? How long would we survive? Would we be happy to be just totally on our own? So we need others. We need others to survive. We need others for our food and drink daily. We need others to keep warm. We need others to have a comfortable house, a car, etc. So that's just materially. We need others for our education, to have information, to know better, to be, you know, informed, to be well informed, to be able to, I mean, we take it for granted, but we have such incredible education. If you live with Tibetans sometimes, you realize that the knowledge we have, we take for granted, we didn't always have. You know, our ability to very quickly think, what is the best solution, what's better, logically think, or thinking like numbers, for example. We're very good at math. If you meet some of the Tibetans, if you tell them, I did this twice 10 years, they go, what, 10 years, 10 plus 10. It takes them a moment. Well, all I'm saying is, it's not that this is life, it's necessary, but when I saw this for the first time, I realized, oh my God, I was educated in a way in which this is not a problem for me, in which certain things are very easy for me to do, whereas if I had been brought up in a different culture, it would not be like that. So I'm grateful to my teachers, my parents, the people around me, because they gave me all this. Without them, I wouldn't even be able to talk. If I hadn't had the people who taught me how to speak, and the people who fed the people who helped me to speak, etc., where would I be right now? So really, I should be grateful. So many people were involved in that. So many living beings were responsible for that. And then spiritually, without others, I could not transform my mind. How can I practice generosity without someone who needs my generosity? How can I practice patience without obnoxious people? Right? How can I practice love when there's no one to be loved? So materially, from a point of view of education, worldly education, and from the point of view of spirituality, others are so kind. Because without others, so Shantideva speaks about this in this book. I already mentioned it, the Bodhisattva Way of Life, where he says, you know, how come, and I'm just kind of rephrasing this, but we have respect towards the enlightened being, towards the Buddhas. We have respect towards them, right? Feeling, oh, they take us to enlightenment. They help us to spiritually grow. But equally, sentient beings help us too. Sentient beings also help us. They're objects of patience. They're those we refrain from, like refraining from negative actions, refraining from getting angry and so forth. For that, we need other people. So we should respect sentient beings, other living beings, in the same way as we would respect a Buddha. Equally. We need them both equally. Right? So therefore, the idea is thus to overcome resentment, to overcome, which actually makes us physically sick. So in a country like Israel, it's a good argument, because a lot of people are interested in healthy food, staying healthy. Well, being kind and patient is healthier for you. The chemicals that are created in the body when we get angry are potentially quite harmful. They can create diseases. So that's one good reason not to experience anger, or to work on our anger, to reduce it. And then all the arguments I just gave you. So many reasons to be loving and kind and to experience love and kind-heartedness towards others, and not a single good reason to get angry. So, if we see a lot of reasons to do something and to refrain from something, what's the next thing? To do it. Yeah. Is it difficult? Of course it's difficult. A lot of things are difficult in life. It's difficult to go jogging or to do yoga, as I know myself. Just to do it, just to get that mat unrolled and start. I know it's difficult, but if I understand the benefits, if I understand the reward, I do it. And then afterwards I feel better. Yeah, likewise. So training the mind is very effective. Working with the afflictions or working with using those antidotes. So what I'm basically saying is that these afflictions, we can work with them. Already yesterday I spoke of jealousy or envy. The antidote to that is to rejoice. I mean, why not be happy for someone's success? If we're unhappy about their success, it doesn't make them less successful. And instead it makes us miserable and becomes the cause for us not to have that same success. Instead, if we just rejoice, we feel happy. So much we can rejoice in. To learn to rejoice in others' happiness, in others' fortune. Yeah, so many benefits. Okay. Alright, so as an antidote to rejoicing, as an antidote to arrogance. Arrogance, I mean, I have a special quality. Well, again, not without others. If I'm proud of myself for a certain quality, I should be proud in everyone who facilitated this quality. Yeah? Because I can't take the credit for all this on my, it's not just me. Of course, I've also been part in this and generating a certain quality, but there's so many other people involved in that process. So there are these antidotes that we can generate as these afflictions arise. But of course, most important is that we recognize them. And this is an important part, a very important part, that sometimes our own afflictions, our own states of mind, they scare us. They make us uncomfortable. And we oppress them. We suppress them. We don't want them to arise. We run away. We feel fearful. That is a huge obstacle. So the first step is to accept, to tolerate, to, acknowledge when there's something in the mind. And I often speak about this. Buddhist practice is gentleness. Being gentle first towards yourself. Being gentle with yourself. So gentleness means, if I want to be gentle with others, if I want to be patient with others and tolerant with others, I need to start here. I cannot be patient, tolerant, gentle and loving if I don't start here. Therefore, the first step is when we start watching our own mind. Okay, what is it in my mind? There are positive things, wonderful, I rejoice in the positive, but there's also afflictions that arise every now and then in the moment when I really don't need them. But let's not suppress them. Acknowledge them. Let them arise, right? And watch them. So sometimes when a certain state of mind arises, it's a bit like fog. It's like we get sucked into the fog, and then we're in this fog, and it's scary, and we just want the fog to go away. Instead, we need to step outside and watch the fog from the outside without being sucked in. So when the emotion arises, you create some kind of distance. Yeah? Oh, there's this emotion. Oh, I know this emotion. Oh, wonderful, you're there. Let me watch you. I want to watch you. And it's almost like you step back. You step back a little bit and take some kind of objective perspective, however objective, relatively objective, and start watching it. Like like a scientist. Curious scientist. Okay, it's part of getting to know my own mind. Yeah? And then you get to know this emotion and you see there's nothing to be scared of. It's just a state of mind. It's just a state of mind that due to certain causes and conditions and whatever they are, it manifests. And as you get to know it without any fear, you allow it to arise, you get to know it better and you may understand why it arises, its causes and conditions. And when you do that, you may find a way to reduce it, to weaken it in a very gentle way. Yeah? So in that way, we need to understand our thoughts are just like, they're like clouds. They're like intangible clouds. They're not something that can really harm us. It feels that way. But why do we feel that way? Because we fear them. We feel uncomfortable. We don't want them to be there. So the first step is to just recognize and let them be and watch them. And actually, if you watch something like a fearful mind, it'll go by itself anyway. So I think that's quite important, that sometimes I meet people who feel scared of their own awareness. And that's the first step to overcome them. Just, okay, whatever there is, it's all right. It's okay. The way I am, that's the way I am, and that's okay. I am that way, and that's all right. In this moment, that's okay. There's room for improvement, but the only way I can improve it is to get to know it better, without pushing it away. Okay? So I find that important. That's to start off from there. And then to be mindful, throughout the day. Whatever you do, every now and then, oh, what am I thinking? What is my mind doing? In the same way, when you drive a car, every now and then you check the mirror. Oh, what are people in the back? Every now and then you check, right? I don't know. That's what I do. I'm not a good driver. I don't drive much. So I check. But I do it every now and then. So likewise, in the same way, you check every now and then, what's my mind doing? And you make it a habit. And before you know, it's become a habit that, okay, what am I doing? What am I thinking? And what is a good time to do that is when you feel uncomfortable, when you not feel well, when you're unhappy. Oh, something happened. I'm not happy. What happened? Right? And oftentimes you will recognize some kind of attachment, some kind of anger. And please, what you need to understand is the way I explain anger and attachment, I explain it in a very, very simplified fashion. It's much more complicated than that. There's so many levels of conscious, subconscious, semi-conscious, things that evade us, that are not totally aware, that are not totally obvious to us. And it takes some time to get to know yourself better until you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and recognize more subtle states. Recognize these complicated issues, like the mind changes back and forth. Like previously, Celine?
Yeah.
So she gave this example when we're angry with a situation. Sometimes, you see, our mind is so tricky, so it is angry with the situation, and then with the person. And then with the situation, then with the person. But we're not really aware that it shifts. Or we love the person, we want them to be happy, but then the next moment, we want them to make me happy. So I think there's just love, but it's mixed. We don't recognize that it's mixed, that the object changes, the awareness changes. It does it so quickly, it evades us. It's a bit like when you watch a movie, you don't see each picture frame. Yeah? So likewise, our mind is faster than a movie. Fast, it's so smooth, it goes one and so it's about recognizing it. We need to learn to recognize these different states. So introspection, self-awareness, very important. And you can be in a traffic jam, you can be anywhere. Check the mirror, check the mind. Right? So as we do this habitually when we drive, it's a habit now. We do certain things every now and then. When you cook, every now and then you stir the pot. It becomes automatic. Likewise, whatever you do, every now and then look inwards. What am I thinking? It becomes a habit. And before you know, it's like stirring a pot. After a while, you stir the pot, you stir the pot. When you're in the car, you check the mirror, you check the mirror. You do that, right? I do. So other things, other examples, I'm sure there are other examples, okay, where we habitually do something, again and again we check, right? Ruth, do you want to say something? No. So anyway, therefore mindfulness, extremely important. Mindfulness of our own emotions, of our own mind, getting to know our own mind better. Okay? All right. Okay. And then if we do that, we can catch certain afflictions before we start acting out on them, before they run wild. Right? I mean, it's funny sometimes I'm angry for like half an hour. I've been imagining what I do to this person and what I will do and what I will say. And then like, wait a minute, what just happened? Where did this half an hour go? Yeah, and I catch myself in the act, and it's been going on for quite a while. And the earlier I catch myself, the more I can just stop it and go, oh no, I don't want to go there. It's just not worth it. You know, I'm never going to beat them up anyway. So what's the point? You know, I'm never going to do this anyway. I'm going to regret it terribly. I'm not going to do this. Yes.
Would that be also right for other kind of feelings like excitement, extremely happy? Should you also look at these as afflictions and say, okay, maybe this also needs to be observed?
You see, excitement is not so much a problem, but it's our attachment to it. Also, I mean, excitement, I mean, just feeling happy, that's okay. But be aware, it won't last. Sometimes we get very excited because there's a sense of permanence there. There's a sense of permanence. It's like, oh my God, this great thing happened to me. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. You know, it's very funny. When I first met Gengetsulla, who also comes here a lot, he's my teacher. He's my main teacher. He taught me really everything I know. Most of the things I know were from Gengetsulla. So when I first met him, I'm not sure he called me that by word, but he basically said, you're an emotional yo-yo. Because when something great happened, I was like, oh, Kayla, it's so great, it's so wonderful. As if, you know, as if it was always going to be like that. And then when something bad happened, I was like, oh, Kayla, my life is so miserable. You know? And I'd be like that. And actually, Kayla was like, well, wait a minute, you know, something great happened, but the moment it happens, it's already changing. Something terrible happened, but again, the moment it happens, it's already changing. Things change all the time. But there's a sense of permanence. When I get very excited about something, in the end, it happens and then it's already changing. So it makes the mind very unstable. It kind of takes away the stableness, the relaxation, the kind of calmness of the mind, this kind of emotional yo-yo. And Tibetans, first I thought Tibetans were like ice boxes, you know, because something great happened, they were like, oh, nice. Something bad happened? Oh, too bad. I was like, oh my God, they're just rocks. But then I realized, no, because the culture is very much, you know, Buddhism is very much part of their culture, and it's this sense like, well, you know, it's exciting, it's nice, but it's already changing. So their mind was much more stable, it was much more relaxed, is much more relaxed. Whereas I was like, oh my God.
How to get up on those peaks?
Of course it's hard.
Not to go down to the bottom.
Yes, but see whether it's really worth it, right? Is it really helpful? Of course, if it's helpful, great. But the thing is, we grow attached. You know, it's like, oh, and then when you lose it, it's much harder. So really, it's in the nature of suffering. In the end, you know, and the moment it arises, it's already. So it's much easier to be more balanced. Yeah? But you need to see, it's something you can learn. I'm not saying don't enjoy things, but if we see them for what they are, we enjoy them from what they are. We don't have unrealistic expectations, because sometimes we create unrealistic expectations. One time there's a wonderful feeling we experience, independence on that object, but the next time we won't. It's a bit like when you meditate, you know? You meditate and you have this blissful experience. And then you're like, wow, I love this blissful experience. I want to meditate again. Next time, nothing. Oh, I don't want to meditate. This is not working. The problem is not the meditation. The problem is we got attached to the blissful feeling in the first place. Yeah? So because of that, then we grow attached. It's just how mind works that way. Whereas instead, okay, there was like a nice feeling during the meditation. It was there. I enjoyed it as long as it lasted. Next time it probably won't be there, and it's not important. It's not important. Anything that happens is okay. Without expectations, especially in meditation, just doing it is good. That's it. Doing the meditation, that's most important. The result is always positive. You know, whether it brings something up, something positive, negative. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So, truth of suffering, truth of the origin of suffering, and the good news is there's cessation.
There's what?
There is a cessation of suffering. It's possible to remove suffering by removing the causes. And I've just spoken about the causes. Removing the fundamental misperception of reality, but of course also the other causes, and in that way not accumulating the karma that leads to the first truth, And in that way, transform our mind and body into something we actually want, we desire naturally. And what is it that takes us there? And I've already mentioned those actually, except I didn't give the names. The path, the different consciousnesses, the different awarenesses. So our own mind takes us to the state of the cessation or the stoppage of suffering and its causes. Right? So that's what Buddhism is all about. That's definitely what the Four Noble Truths in particular. Here they promote, if you like, or the destination of practicing the Four Noble Truths, the goal is to become liberated. Now, just to recapture the initial topics, becoming aware of our precious opportunity, this precious human life, becoming aware of the fact we may die any time, taking into consideration karma. Also, of course, we may be reborn somewhere, and we're reborn in a state where we don't want to be reborn, taking into consideration karma, and the fact that if we entrust ourselves in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, we may avoid future negative rebirth. Well, this is the way to accumulate the causes to be reborn in a positive state, if there is rebirth. Okay? All right. That's these practices that I just described, from precious human rebirth, understanding our precious human rebirth, all the way to taking refuge. Those practices, if one does those, if one thinks about those, if one engages in the different meditations, become the causes to be reborn in a fortunate state in the future, in states similar to the ones we experience now. But if we decide, okay, I don't want to do this over and over again, be reborn again and again, learn to read and write again and again, go to school again and again, go through puberty again and again, grow old again and again, die again and again, again and again. Well, there's another option, second solution, better solution, be liberated, right? Be liberated from this. And the way to be liberated is by practicing the Four Noble Truths, meditating on them, analyzing them, meditating, contemplating, etc. So we can overcome the causes of suffering. What we haven't spoken of, and what I will talk of as the second part of this book next year, is, well, we're not alone. So many people are suffering. So many people who have been our mothers, who are just like us, who deserve to be happy just as like us as we do. So not just being liberated, if I were to become awakened, if I would become like a Buddha, I could tell others how to get there. So driven by incredible love and compassion, one may strive for another option, which is the goal of a person of highest capacity or highest aspiration, which is Buddhahood. And how to go about this? Well, I cannot do this year, it would have been too much material, but then next year I'll speak about this, how to generate more love, more care, more compassion, altruism and unconditional love, etc. Okay? Alright. Okay, I'm good in time. So 5 minutes to wrap it up, I guess. I think that should suffice. But lastly, I'd like us all together, spend a minute maybe to just, in a meditative kind of state, whatever positive potential we have accumulated over the course of, well, either 2 days or today. So let's dedicate that. Let's dedicate whatever positive potential that we ourselves may be able to transform our mind to be of greater benefit to ourselves and others. And if you think of anyone who's sick, anyone who suffers from a disease, anyone you can think of, let's dedicate it also for their benefit. Let's dedicate that they may get better. Let's dedicate it for different projects that are running, that are meant for the people of this country, for the people of this world. So may all these projects be beneficial, may they thrive, and may people find happiness and peace and find what they look for. Thank you very much. And shalom to everyone. Okay. There's a lady called Gilgi.